In today's video, I'm going to break down how your own brain is tricking you into thinking you don't have ideas worth sharing. And then I'm going to provide you with a few tips and strategies so that you can overcome this creative block. That way you can be confident that you'll never run out of ideas again. So when I was first starting out as a creator, I struggled a lot with coming up with ideas. And the reason was I didn't feel like I was very qualified to talk about anything. And this hang up kind of held me back for a long time. I was like, well, what am I supposed to talk about? I'm a bartender. I'm not qualified. And I think that a lot of people face this problem. I think a lot of people get in their heads about what they're qualified to talk about and help other people learn. And the thing is it's just all in your head because there's no certificate or degree that any YouTuber gets that says, hey, you are now allowed to talk about these ideas. If you know something, you can share it if you want to. The nice thing about social media and YouTube in specific is there are no gatekeepers. You can make content about whatever you want. And as long as you have an idea that's worth sharing or that you think is interesting enough to share, there will probably be someone on the other side of the screen who will find some value in the video. So you don't have to sit there and obsess over whether you're qualified to talk about a topic or not. All right, so tell me if this sounds like you. Have you ever had like an upcoming deadline to post the next YouTube video or a newsletter coming up and it's the night before and you're thinking to yourself, I haven't done anything yet? Well, that happens to me quite often, actually. And even though I write a lot and talk a lot about productivity and creativity and constantly generating ideas and getting ahead of the work, there's still times where I myself fall into that trap of just procrastinating until the last minute. And oftentimes it's because I trick myself into thinking that I don't have an idea that's ready to share. But really what this is my brain just kind of playing a nasty little trick on me where I actually do have ideas, but what it is an insecurity that the ideas aren't good enough. And I think the perfectionists out here will probably understand what I'm talking about. You have all these ideas going on in your head, but for some reason, none of them seem good enough to make the video about or good enough to write about, right? And I just gotta tell you that it's a really common mistake that we make as creators in judging those ideas without actually getting any external feedback on them. Because you actually never know if the idea that you have is going to land with an audience or not. One of my best performing videos was actually an idea that I didn't really think was gonna do that good. And I just put it out there anyways because I didn't wanna I'd already recorded it and I was like, well, I guess I'll just put it out there. And it ended up doing really well compared to my average view count on a video. So oftentimes these ideas are good enough and we don't really know what people are gonna think about them until we put it out there and try. So what this is it's an attempt to avoid that judgment. It's an attempt to avoid that anxiety of possibly failing and possibly looking like a fool. But what I will tell you is that if you have an idea and you put it out into the world and it totally flops, nobody pays attention to it, nobody sees it, doesn't get picked up in the algorithm, well, it's actually good news for your fragile ego because it means that nobody saw it. You're gonna feel that pain ugh, it didn't do good, I need to do better next time. But at least nobody else saw it, right? Because if it tanked, that means nobody saw it. So it's all right, I guess privately I have this realization that my idea wasn't that good and I'll just have to do better next time. Okay, so there's this really nasty trick that our brain plays on us and it is called the curse of knowledge. And I don't know if you've ever heard of it before, but when I found out about it, I realized, oh yeah, this is something that's been plaguing me for a long time. And what the curse of knowledge is you forget what you've learned. Right? So you're going throughout your days, you're learning these new things, you're learning all this information, you're having all these experiences, and they become normal to you. They just become acclimated into your worldview, your knowledge base, and you don't really understand that other people don't have the same access to that information as you. So cooking, for instance. Do you know how to make stir fry? If you do, well, that's something that you understand. And that might seem like really basic knowledge to you, but I guarantee you, 9 out of your 10 of your friends don't know how to cook stir fry. They don't. Okay, they probably don't even know how to cook. They probably still eating cereal. So you don't take your knowledge for granted. It is something that you've earned, and because you've learned these things, you now have the ability to share these ideas with other people. And people need to hear these ideas from you. Just because somebody else has made a bunch of tutorials on the beginner level content doesn't mean that you can as well, because the way they teach it might not click with that audience. And the way you teach it might be more suited for a certain type of audience. So don't hold yourself back and limit your ideas because you think that it's already out there already. That's that curse of knowledge. It's just you've forgotten that it takes a lot of time to learn these things, and you could be the one to teach it to the next person. It's so hot today. It's a heat wave today, so excuse me if I'm sweating. It's just crazy. Another big issue that creators have when it comes to coming up with content ideas is they miss the forest for the trees. And what do I mean by this? I mean, they think too much about the one piece of content, the one video or piece of writing that they're making, and how it's going to perform and how it's going to affect them. And they don't see the larger library that they're building over time. Because on a long enough time horizon, ideally, you're going to have hundreds of videos or hundreds of articles that people can dive into. And once they like one, they might be able to go through your entire library and get lost in 50 other videos or pieces of writing. So the thing is because you have this idea that you need to have the perfect idea, the viral idea, this idea that's going to get a bunch of views and subscribers and whatever. And if you just kind of let go of that idea and just say, I'm just adding to my library, I'm just adding another page in the book that is my brand, then you don't have to obsess so much over the performance of one thing. Because every time somebody new finds your channel, what's going to happen is if they like it, they're going to go, oh, cool. Well, what else do they have? And as long as you stay consistent and you just keep building up that library, those people can convert to true fans, because there will be hours of content for them to dive into of yours that you've built over time. And so you don't have to obsess over the one perfect idea. You can just put out ideas that are good enough that you think are interesting, or that's just all you have for the week, and just let it be that, and just let it sit there, because that piece of content will continue to work for you over the years. It'll always be there for somebody to find. So when that day comes where you do have that viral hit, or you do have that influx of new viewers, that piece of content will still be there, and it might actually perform really well later. Okay, so a more tactical tip if you're trying to generate ideas is the 5-minute timer test. And this is really helpful if you're staring at a blank page and I don't really know what to make a piece of content about. Just put on a timer and just write down ideas for 5 minutes, and that's it. Once that timer starts, it almost becomes a game. It's like a little challenge, and your brain kind of goes, ooh, the timer's going down. I better start coming up with ideas. And after that 5 minutes is over, just stop the timer and just see what you have. And realistically, just pick one of those ideas and just run with it, because that's really it is. Most of the time when we can't think of an idea to create a piece of content around, it's not that we don't have ideas. It's that we are over-analyzing and being overly critical and judgmental of the ideas. Realistically, you just got to pick one and just run with it. And that is the good enough idea for now. And then you'll get feedback from the audience and from yourself as you go through the process as to whether that idea is worth pursuing again in the future. But, it's an experiment. Nothing's going to be perfect. Just pick an idea, run with it, test it out, see if it works. And if it doesn't, move on, try something else. Do another 5-minute timer test and just say, you know what, this is an idea I'm going to run with as well. All right, and the last tactical tip I'm going to give you is to prep the page the night before. So whatever the title is or the main topic idea, just a couple bullet points okay, well, I'm going to talk about this personal story. And then I'm going to talk about the problem that I ran into. And then I'm going to talk about the solution. And then I'm going to conclude with whatever. You just do a simple little outline like that. You go to sleep. And when you go to sleep, your subconscious brain kind of works on that idea as you're sleeping. When you wake up, you will have some of these ideas kind of fleshing in your mind. You're going to be thinking about it while you're sleeping, even though you're not aware of it. So you'll wake up and you'll feel kind of like, oh, I think I can get to writing on this pretty quick. And you might even have more ideas to add on to that outline once you wake up. Hopefully those tips helped you out today. I don't want you to be struggling with content ideas. I know how hard it can be, but realistically, just most of these problems come from overthinking. I promise you, I do it too. You don't have to overthink things. Just take an idea, run with it, make a piece of content, see what happens. I'll see you next time.